Hello, everybody, and welcome back to At Your Own Pace. This is the show for runners who are showing up however they can on whatever week life is handing them. I'm Mike. Mike runs marathons, and whether you're chasing a Boston qualifier, your first 5K, or just the next mile, you're in the right place. Every Wednesday, we open with a little real talk from my week on the run, and then we sit down with someone whose story is going to leave you a little bit more fired up than when you press play. So lace up, settle in, and let's run this one together. I did want to provide everybody with an update about this podcast. If you listen to this podcast regularly, you probably saw that it was not out this Monday, and that is because I have shifted the date for this podcast to be released on Wednesdays now. Just with life and work and everything getting in the way, I realized that really releasing on Wednesday would be easier for me and to be able to get out the best episode that I possibly could to all of you. Thank you for being so understanding. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I love making these episodes for you. I love speaking with runners. So the longer that I keep doing this and still provide you with the very best interviews that I possibly can, I will. I'm excited to speak with my guest today, whose name is James, but goes by Fudgie online, who speaks consistently about the importance of running and resilience and the need to constantly push yourself to do hard things in order to grow. His story of getting into running and how it continues to inspire him day in and day out, not just as an activity for himself to get healthier, but also from a social aspect, keeps him coming back day after day to lace up and go out there and run in London. And yes, he is my very first international guest. So I'm really excited for you to hear his story today. But before we get to today's guest, I want to start with where we always start, which is just a check-in about my week. So here's what's been on my mind this week. Those of you who listened to last week's episode know that I am back at work. If you are watching the video version of this podcast, you probably can tell that I am not at home because I'm not in front of my desk, and that is because I'm once again traveling for work. So this episode is being edited in my hotel room. I want to take a moment just to talk about something that happened over the weekend for me that really hit me hard and reminded me of not just why I run, but how running can inspire so many other people. And this story is really out there, and it's really peculiar, but I love talking about it because it was a really important moment in my life. And it's moments like these that really remind me that even though a lot of our training as runners is done solo, we are not running alone, and that there is always going to be another runner or someone out there who will identify or connect with either why you're running or just how important the sport is to you. So in 2024, I ran the Boston Marathon, and it was my 6th star, and I was at Trader Joe's of all places. I was walking around with my wife, and we were shopping for groceries or grabbing something specific for her. I don't remember exactly, but there was a woman that was restocking one of the shelves, and she looked over at me, and in case you don't notice, in case you haven't met me or in case you haven't seen my pictures when I'm not wearing running attire, I am wearing some sort of running clothing at all times. For those of you who have seen me in person, or for those of you who see me online and see the pictures that I post, I am usually wearing some form, shape, thing of running clothing. Something on it talks about some sort of race I ran or has some logo on it from some marathon or race or running company. I mean, I'm wearing a Brooklyn half shirt right now, for God's sake. And I was wearing a Boston 2024 shirt or pants. I don't remember which one it was. It may have been my jacket, actually. And she turned to me and she was like, "Oh my God, are you running the Boston Marathon?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we just talked for a solid 20 minutes about running and about how she had completed her 6 stars at Boston and that she was volunteering that year and that Boston was such an incredible marathon. I had never done it before. I've never spectated. I've never watched it. So she really motivated me and made me excited to run the marathon because I was honestly pretty scared. And in the midst of us talking, she goes, "Hold on, I'll be right back." So she goes into the back of the store, into the employee area. And my wife and I were just kind of standing there like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." And she comes back out and she hands me this bracelet. And I told her how I was raising money for a charity for the Boston Marathon. And she was like, "That is incredible. Charity runners are so important. I love charity runners." So she comes back to me with this bracelet, and the bracelet is Boston Marathon color. So it's gold and blue, but it has a unicorn on it, and it says "One Badass Unicorn" etched into the bracelet. It's one of those plastic like Livestrong bracelets that you would buy. And she goes, "I want you to have this." And when I tell you that I wore that bracelet for the next year, I did. And she said, "Good luck with your marathon. I want to see your medal. I want to see your medal when you're done. I want you to bring it here. I want you to show it to me." And I was like, "Absolutely." And I mean, I am just awful with names in general, but I think I made the mistake of not asking her name, but I remember what she looked like. So when we came back in, so after the marathon, I think this was probably about 2 months, 3 months beforehand. After the marathon, I did come back into the store multiple times wearing my Boston Marathon stuff. I had my medal with me sometimes because I really wanted to show her. And this is 2024. This was the year with the really ugly medal. So that goes to show just like how important it was for me to show this to her. But I couldn't find her. I didn't want to go up to some random Trader Joe's employee and be like, "Hey, do you have a team member here who runs marathons or has run the Boston Marathon?" I doubt many people would be like, "Yes, I know exactly who that is." So every time we would come in, I would look around, I would see like, is there somebody that looks familiar? I thought one time when we came back, I thought that I saw her. I was too afraid to go up and ask her. And now this is 2 years later. It's 2026. I've run Boston now 3 times. And my wife and I are in the store with Lulu, and she starts acting up. So I take Lulu out to the car, change her, and feed her, and keep her company. And we're sitting there, kind of just like waiting for Emily to come out. And I get a text message all in caps. "Oh my God, the Boston Marathon woman's here. Her name is Karen." And I immediately like grabbed Lulu, ran out of the car, ran back in the store, and like we just had like the biggest reunion moment ever. It was so awesome. I talked to her about, my story, and so I came back in, I saw her, we hugged, and we talked about the Boston Marathon. And I think I was wearing Boston Marathon pants. She noticed that. She goes, "Oh, did you run it again?" I said, "Yeah, it's my third time." She's like, "That's incredible." And I told her that I still had her bracelet, and she said, "Oh my God, I was just talking about that the other day." Because I was like, "I know I gave it to someone, but I can't remember who." And I told her, I still have it on my desk at home, and that I wore it for like a year after the race because of how important it was to me. And she was so happy. And then she told me that she had actually really stopped running after she got her six-star medal in 2023. I don't remember if she got it at Boston or if she got it at London or some other race. I can't remember exactly, but she said that she had not really run since 2024. But she went to the Boston Marathon this year for the 130th anniversary, and she was so inspired by everything she saw that she was like, "You know what? I want to get back into this." So she's training again. She's starting to run again. And I can't share any details because she didn't want me to, but there might be something on the horizon. And I'm really proud of her. And it was really great to see her 2 years later after she gave me that bracelet and to be able to tell her, this is what I was able to accomplish. And I was motivated because of your support. And it might just seem like a bracelet to some people, just like a little thing that you receive. But to me, it was more than that. It represented somebody who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I think this was also during the time period where I was really worrying about my fundraising because I had to raise at the time $9,000. Now the minimum is higher, but and I didn't know how I was going to be able to do that, but somehow I did. And so that moment just reminded me of what it's like for other runners to step up and support other runners who they don't know. Like, I've only met her once, but when I saw her again the other day, it was like we were old friends and we had like come back together again after just being apart for a little bit. It was so cool and I loved it. And it's why I love speaking with people that I follow or just people online in general, supporting their running journeys, whether it's being a coach or this podcast, because any way that I can support a fellow runner to either lace up their shoes and go run when they don't want to or feel like they can't, or getting someone who wants to start their own running journey, take that first step is indescribable to me. It is a wonderful thing to see because my favorite thing about running is not necessarily the running aspect per se. Obviously, it's fun because if you don't find it fun, then you won't run. But I love seeing the growth that people make mentally and physically on their running journeys and the people that they become, the confidence that they gain, the strength that they find out that they have within themselves. That is what I love about running and why I love supporting other runners because it changed my life. And if I can help one person have that same moment, then I've done my job and I know that I've helped somebody. So that is my check in for the week. And if you are a fellow runner and you're looking for some way to help another runner or to inspire another runner, just tell them you're proud of them. Give them kudos. Support them in any way you possibly can. Let them know that they're doing a great job making progress. Because I guarantee you that that will give them so much inspiration, motivation to lace up their shoes when they really don't want to. Because it's happened for me. So I know it'll happen for other people. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Now, before we get to our guest for today, I just want to take a quick break to talk about the sponsor for today's video, which is Shocks. Now, Shocks has something up their sleeve over the next couple days. They've made several hints at new headphones being released on their website. They're not making it like super secretive. You can see the outline of what they look like and can probably tell what they are. And I think there are some reviewers that have released reviews of these new headphones, but they are one of my favorite headphone companies. They are the only pair of headphones that I use for my running. And I've used a variety of their different headphones. I've used their Open Run Pro 2s. I've used their Open Fits, their Open Airs. And now I've fallen in love with the Open Dots 1. Clips into your ear, stays there snug and fit, doesn't get in the way of sunglasses or your hat, and great sound quality. So if you are interested in purchasing a pair of Shocks headphones, use the code MikeRunsMarathons in order to save a little bit of extra money on your purchase, and keep an eye out on their website to see what these new headphones are when they come out. So if you're looking for a good pair of headphones that allows you to maintain transparency and safety while you're out there on the road, on the trails, Shocks is the company for you. So make sure you go check them out. And again, Mike Runs Marathons at checkout to save a little bit of extra money on your purchase. But you know the drill. Grab some water, find your stride, and meet me in the conversation, because today's guest is someone that I have been so excited to introduce you to. Today's guest is someone who reminds us that running doesn't have to be perfect to matter. If you follow Fudgie, you'll know exactly what I mean. The runs don't always go to plan, the moments aren't always polished, and that's exactly what makes it so relatable. It's real, it's honest, and it's a reminder that showing up, even imperfectly, still counts. So I'm excited to talk today about how running fits into their life, the moments that have made them laugh and question everything at the same time, and why sometimes the best runs are the ones that don't look great on paper, but we still go out there and we do the best we can and we have fun with it. This is one of those conversations that just feels like running with a friend. So I'm really glad to bring in Fudgie. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, thanks for having me. Thanks for the introduction. Looking forward to chatting running.
Of course. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, just been out for a run today, so a bit sunburnt because first bit of sun of the year in London, so quite warm today. You can see probably a bit burnt, but yeah, I'm all good. You okay?
I'm good. Just trying to get through this cold. We have a cold spell right now, I think, until the beginning of next week, and then hopefully it starts to get a little bit warmer from there, because I hate running in the cold. It's just not fun for me. But no, I really appreciate you being here. I've been following you for a while. I really love not just your account, but kind of the ethos and the atmosphere behind the account and how you post and what you post, because it's so full of joy and just filled with a love for running that I can't wait to jump into, because you remind me consistently, for myself when I forget about it, that running is supposed to be fun. And there are moments where I feel like it is something that has to be done, or I have to focus and it becomes not fun. And so being able to see that other side of things kind of pulls me back in and goes, oh yeah, I have to remind myself that like I get to do this, and this is something that I get to do for fun and not to take it so seriously. So I'm really, really excited to talk to you about that, because I think there's so many people out there as runners, especially those that have been running for a long time, who sometimes forget that running just is a hobby, and it's fun to do. I want you to take me back to when you first started running. What got you into it, and what did those early runs look like?
It was a bit of a bet in work. So, I was working in an office, and this guy was a big runner, and he was saying, "Oh, me and you should have a race in a half marathon." I was like, "No, I'm not running a half marathon. You're not going to catch me running." I used to be a goalkeeper, so I was all about setting goals. Didn't run much, and then he sort of bet me to run a local half marathon. So I got roped into it. Sort of trained with him together, bit of office rivalry, and we did the Cardiff half marathon, which is local to me in Wales. And I finished the race with bleeding nipples, chafing, blisters, couldn't walk for a week. And I was like, "Do you know what? That's me done." I beat the guy. I took the 20 pound of him, like, right, I'm done. I'm never running again. And then he said, and he was challenging me to another one. He said, "Oh, there's a bit of luck. You beat me. Let's do it again." So we didn't have a half marathon, and we beat him again. And then suddenly it became sort of a bit of we can run half marathons in different parts of the UK. And that's how we started then. So we started signing up to other half marathons and traveling around the country and going, "Oh, running. You can see different parts of the country where you do it as well." So it started off as a bet, really, in the short of it. Then we all became addicted, really. The whole office started getting to running. So yeah, that's how I started, a bet.
That is amazing. I love that. What year was that?
That was 2012, so it was around about when the Olympics was in London, so you had
Okay.
like Mo Farah. So then I started running around then, you were watching like Mo Farah, and everybody, I think in the whole the UK was watching Mo Farah and got so inspired by that. I think a lot of people got into running because of that. So it was around about 2012. Yeah, it's 14 years ago now. This feels like yesterday's my first run. Yeah.
I feel you so much on the bleeding nipples and chafing because I think one of my first long runs, I did a race that was 12 miles back in 2019, and I felt great. I felt like I was doing wonderful. I finished the race in a really good time for myself, and I had just started running kind of at the end of 2018, and so I felt really good. And I finished, and I had my friend at the finish line waiting for me, and I walked up to him. I said, "Man, I feel great. I think I did wonderful," and he just pointed at my nipple. And I didn't know this, but I had bled through my entire shirt. I didn't look the entire time, and then I just saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Everyone saw it. I didn't know. And you talk about the chafing. Oh my god, the worst thing for me is when you run a half marathon or a marathon, and you have to take a shower, and you don't know what part is going to burn because of the chafing. That is the worst thing for me.
That's my biggest fear in running, is my nipples bleeding and chafing. Forget about the long miles, it's the actual chafing. I tell people who start running, "Do your nipples?" And they look at me stupid. I'm like, "Just plaster your nipples, trust me. You'll
hmm
thank me later."
Yeah, I've learned to use KT tape, which
Yeah.
has been really helpful. Hurts when you take it off, but doesn't hurt as much as bleeding nipples.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, you said you started with a bet. When you first started, I know you say when you finished, you were like, "I'm never doing this again." But once you kind of got into the vibe, when you did like the second one, did you always did you start to enjoy it? And how did you kind of grow into what you have now?
Yeah, I think when I first started running, it was probably just to lose weight, because I lost about 4 stone because of running. It just felt that the feeling of it at the time. I just didn't realize it was all about endorphins. When I started running, it was predominantly I was losing weight and felt fitter, and it was all about sort of just losing weight and feeling better. Basically, I was going on holiday to Ibiza with the boys, so I thought, "Oh, I'm gonna keep on running. I'm losing weight. I'll look good in the beach and stuff like that." So at the start of it was very much this. I'm using it to sort of lose weight, but like that's totally flipping its head now, and how much running is good for your mental health. But the start of it was just purely aesthetic. So it's just good to lose weight. I'll keep going, and also it was just start to make friends from it. So you were like meeting people, eating with people. It was like I was think, "Oh, running's actually got a social aspect." So that's what grew me into it. You were going for a run, then going for a few beers, or going for a run in the morning and a coffee and cake. It was just becoming, "Oh, actually, this is like playing football, It's a social side. We run together, have a few drink. So I thought, "Oh, actually, running is not a sort of solo sport in a way. It can also be a team sport as well, and running with other people."
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. The amount of people that I've met from just the running community has been like, for me, astronomical. Like, I just can't believe it. Like, I did, last year I did the Tokyo Marathon, and I just kind of put out there, "Hey, if anybody wants to do like a shakeout run before the race, I'm going to be running in this area." And I had a couple people show up, and I was like, "You're telling me that I had people from across the world just like decide to come and meet me?" It was completely wild. And I want to, on the mental health aspect, because I know, in your account, you push for that a lot. How has the just running in general helped your mental health?
Yeah, incredibly rare. I think I didn't realize it. That I think before COVID, I was sort of running all about PBs, all about getting quicker. It was all about getting quick. And I think when COVID hit, and then there was no races, and then suddenly you were just running for pure, getting out of the house, and then, sort of for your mental. And I actually thought I actually enjoy running. And I think then I started to see the benefits of, everybody was anxious with what was going on with COVID. And then suddenly you go out for a 3, 4, 5 miles, maybe more. And then you come back and you just feel like better about everything. I think that's when it really hit home that run is how much I needed running to help my mental health and sort of how a positive aspect of any movement, really, not just running, but how any form of movement will help your mental health. I'll bang on to people all day long about movement's medicine, but I think then the COVID was really the time when I thought, this is what it gives me to my headspace, how it makes me feel a better person, helps me with my anxiety, gets you outside in the fresh air. At the time, you could run with people. That was the only time you'd see people, so you were enjoying the social aspect. I think it was really then it hit me then the mental benefits and more than the physical benefits as well. How running helps.
I agree with you. I remember I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I was supposed to run the New York City Marathon in 2020. It was supposed to be my first marathon, and it got canceled. So then I think it got canceled in the probably like May. And so after that, it was kind of like, oh, I have to, as you pointed out, like there's no races, there's no like end goal, there's no finish line. So I have to run for me now. And it drastically changed my thoughts on running because it became kind of like I'm doing this specifically because I want to and not because I have some sort of goal in mind. And
Yeah.
it really did help me as well. And especially with the anxiety and everything that was going on, it was very helpful to get me out there. Now, what obviously running you talked about at the beginning with your first time marathon, I never want to do this again. What kept you coming back on days when, frankly, it would have been easier just to not?
This thing, you chase those endorphins. You always feel better after a run, even if it's a bad run at the time. You always feel better for doing it. It might not be the best run, like you said, but I guarantee you always feel better. And you did at the start of that run. You might be running. Oh my god, this is dreadful. But as soon as you stop running and you're walking back to the car, walk back to your flat, you realize that the endorphins are there. Then you think, oh, that was tough, but it's better than lying on the settee. I got out then got it done. It's just those endorphins. I go to the gym, but it doesn't hit the same as running. I keep telling people I'm trying to get more people into running and work and say the endorphins hit differently with running. And it doesn't matter if you run for a mile, 2 miles, 20 miles, those endorphins, that's what you're there for. When you finish that run, it's that sort of buzz when you finish in, and that's part of it. I don't put too much pressure on myself anymore. Back in the day, I was like, right, I need to run 10 miles. And if I didn't do 10 miles, I beat myself up. But now if I do five, I'm like, well, that's five more than I would have done. Do you know what I mean? So trying to flip around to say I've got something done today rather than putting the pressure on you. It's harder when you're training for marathons, you have to do the miles, but sometimes you try and take the pressure off it and just say, I got moving today. I was out there for 45 minutes. That's better than I was gonna knock on the head earlier. I just got out and got it done. It's probably endorphins, how you feel after the run keeps me coming back, 100%.
Oh, I love that. What you said about five is more than the zero I would have done. Uh, yeah, the marathon training gets
Yeah.
absolutely wild. I tell my wife, she'll be like, "Oh, how much are you running today?" I'd be like, "Oh, 15 miles," and she'll just be like, "What is wrong with you?" Then I agree with you. I try to tell. I have a lot of people ask me like, "Why do you run and why do you do these races and these long distances?" And I completely agree with you. The endorphins, like the feeling that I get when I'm done. I could be having the worst day, whether it's from work or just life in general. I will feel some way better after that rate, after that run, because it just feels like, my accomplishment of what I did is just something that if I always look back on where I was and say like, the person that was back in 2018 for me would look at this and say that I was crazy and that there was no way I did this.
Yeah.
And so being able to have this outlet is so important to me. And, uh, I try to tell my wife all the time, about just how good it feels to run, and I've tried to get her into running, and so far it's been a miss. She's done one race, which I'm happy about, one 5K, but, I have a feeling that if she and she tells me after she does cardio of some sort, whether it's a bike ride or a run, she like, "I feel better," and I'm like, "This is exactly why I do it."
There you go.
I
That's what
just
I'm
keep
trying
trying to
to do.
remind her.
That's what I'm trying to do at work. Currently, I've got 3 or 4 people who never run before into running, and now they've been doing it about 4 or 5 weeks, and now they're all in. Now they've
Mhm.
got the new Adidas trainers. If they buy us a new kit, and we go to a different run club in London. But now we're going for a run tomorrow morning actually. So it's like 4 of them, and then 3 of them had never ran before. And at the start they were a hard sell, but now they're all in. They're seeing the benefits, buying the new fancy kit, looking for races. I'm like, yeah, they're like my children.
That is awesome. I love that so much. Now, I'm sure also your content is something that really helps other people who are thinking about getting into running or trying to figure out whether this would work for them. And I think one of the reasons is because the content that you show is a lot of unfiltered sides of running. You're very honest and open about it. And so what made you decide to kind of share it that way instead of just talking about the highlights and the wins?
To be honest, like for years, the first 2 or 3 years of doing Instagrams, like I said earlier, it was all about my times, PBs. And when you first start running, obviously you get quicker, and you get PBs. It was all about, I felt like I look back and I cringe a little bit because I was talking like I was some kind of professional athlete. You know what I mean? I was doing all the training plans, posting what I was doing all week, talking about my run, all that. And I look back and I think, oh my God, what was I doing? Don't get me wrong, I did some really pretty amazing times, but I felt like you said earlier, it's my hobby, but it felt like a second job
Mm,
because you were doing work and then I was like, oh my God, I've got to do track tonight and I've got 10 miles tomorrow. It felt more like a second job. And that's when I thought to start to share, like, running is not about, some people have times that's great, but it's not all about times. It's about so many other benefits. And that's what I wanted to share. I'm not the sort of like the generic runner. I'm like carry a bit of weights. I want to show like, I'm a normal guy. If I can do it and run a half marathon and people go, oh, you can do it. But if I can, honestly, I was so lazy at school. If I can do it, anybody else can do it. So just trying to like rub that off and say, look, if I can run 10Ks, no excuse. I
hmm
can do it. I was never athletic or anything. I still carry a little bit of weight. If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. And I like, look, I mean, I can't really say anything then. Do you know what I mean?
hmm
That was the thing. And I was getting comments in the past about saying, oh my God, you could be so much quicker if you lost a bit of weight. You run so well for a chubby guy. And I was like, gee, you know what I mean? That's when I thought to myself, nah, I run on my top off last summer and I took a photo and said, look, you can run with your top off, guys. You don't have to have abs to do, take your top off. And I do like high rocks. I don't know if you've heard of high rocks, like functional fit. Yeah. So I think I did a reel saying you don't have to, it's one unwritten rule of high rocks. You can finish with your top on. So he was like trying to bring that content, guy with six packs and stuff. He's trying to show you, yeah, you can do hard things by being any shape or size, really. And that's what I'm trying to generally passionate about showing, really.
Yes, that is so important to this community because I cannot tell you the amount of running influencers that I see who have that jacked body, six pack, lean, like what, like 10%, 8% fat. And they try to tell you that, all you need to do is do this program that I have,
Yeah.
or just, get thinner and you'll be able to be a runner. You'll see them being able to run 6 5-minute miles. And if you're thinking about getting into running, like when I got into running, I was like 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And so like one of the reasons I gravitated to running was because when I went to the gym, the weights frightened me because I saw all of the guys who were jacked and I was like, they're going to judge me because I'm this pudgy dude. And so I went to the treadmill and ran all the way to the end to where there was nobody on a treadmill. So nobody could see me so I could run and kind of started from there. I was a little scared at first because I thought people were going to judge me based off of, whether how I was running or when I was run walking and things like that. But I think that one of the important things we need in this running community, especially online, are people like yourselves who are advocating for all shapes and sizes so that everybody knows that if you can lace up your shoes and you can put one foot in front of the other, or even if you are, wheelchair bound and you can, get that specific type of wheelchair, you can go out there and you can run. And, I'm not saying that there's no excuse, but those people that think that they can't definitely can. It just requires you to take that first step.
Exactly that. I don't be too critical, but I think when I first started coming to the running scene, they were talking about normal runners. And I feel it's gone back to everything you see is fair play if people are jacked and want to run 90 marathon, fair play, happy days and not bitter. But I feel that's the only content we see at the minute. That's the only content I'm seeing when I go online and scroll on Instagram is not seeing the normal people, the everyday people like myself who are out there just going out doing a 5K after work,
Hmm
training for a marathon or just plodding along. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like I think I said something before Christmas about this feels like in the running community sometimes in the bin what we're seeing because I go to loads of run clubs and I don't see that. I see the community, but I don't see it online. I think we only see in probably like 2% of what the running community really is.
Yeah.
And that's what sort of annoys me at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the things that speaks to your content is there's so many people, and I think this is just social media in general. People just post the wins and the highlights and the good things.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody who's new to running who looks and only sees those, and then they go out and they try to run and they have a bad run or it's just a struggle, they think, oh, well, if this person is doing this, I should be able to do it. And if I can't, then I'm a failure and I should just not run. And that was actually me for a couple of years. I tried to start running, I think in like 2012 or something. And I did a couple runs and they were just such a struggle. And I tried to keep it up and it was just like a failure because I felt like I wasn't, based off of what I was seeing on social media and what I was seeing online, I just wasn't living up to the expectations of what other people wanted. Now, kind of piggybacking off of that, when you talk about the runs that you've done and the races that you've done, has there been one that didn't go to plan at all, but it ended up being memorable in some way for you?
I think it was probably I did the Barcelona marathon. I think it's 2019, just before COVID, and it was when I was training really hard. I wanted to go close to sub 3, and I was training really hard. And then got to race day in Barcelona, and it was 30 degrees. It was roasting. I mean, I trained all for the winter in Wales, and suddenly my big race day, even 4 months of my life, didn't drink for 4 months. Literally, yeah, I just ate rice and chicken. That's literally probably the most locked in I've ever been. And it got to the race day, and then obviously it was 30, it's boiling. I was like, oh my god! So 20 miles in, I was hot. I couldn't do any more. So I was kicking a bin on the beach in Barcelona. Again, really agitated about my time. Oh my god, what's everyone going to think of Instagram? I've bigged it up.
Mm,
And actually, I just thought that you're looking round, you're in Barcelona and you're on a beach and you're actually 20 miles into a marathon, you're probably still going to do a really good time. Just get over yourself and just like sort of look where I was, like where I would have been 10 years before that. If someone said to like, Fudgie when I was like 21, oh, you're going to be 20 miles into Barcelona marathon in 10 years time, I would have been like, mate, jog on. Do you know what I mean? So it was sort of like, look around you in Barcelona running a marathon, like how cool is that? So I sort of, not the time I wanted, when I finished, it was like every marathon should be celebrated. Any race, really. When you finish, you finish. I always smile when I finish a race, even though it's not the time I wanted or how it went. You've achieved something that day. Do you know what I mean? If once you get over that finish line, you know, times are times, but it's getting it done. I think I actually finished the Barcelona marathon. Like, how cool is that? So yeah, I went, and that's why I sort of had to try to flip my mind, thinking it's not all about time. You need to sort of remember how lucky you are to be able to run as well, be able to do a marathon. A lot of people, was it 1% of the world population finish a marathon? It's for a reason, really. So that was then, yeah. So I was realizing then, you're in Barcelona, come on, you're running a really good marathon, come on, just get over yourself and just enjoy the surroundings and get the medal, take you home. You still got on the wall now, you know what I mean? But you did the Barcelona marathon. So that was it for me, really.
yeah, it's funny. You're bringing me back to last September. I did the Berlin Marathon and it was hot. I think it was in the 30s for degrees Celsius. It was about 70, 75. I think it got up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Which nobody was prepared for. And there was not a cloud in the sky, and people were going down left and right. And I got to like mile 17 and I actually called my wife and I was like, I want to quit. I hate this so much. I was really mad about my time. I was really mad about what was going on. And then I realized I'm in Europe, I'm running the Berlin Marathon. And then after this, we're going to another country. Like we're enjoying ourselves. We're doing something that if you had asked me a few years ago, like, would I be traveling to another continent to do something like this? Say you're out of your mind because I never thought that this would happen. And so I've had to do that multiple times during marathons of being like so focused on my time and then realizing, oh, there's all these people cheering me on and I'm in this major city or something and they want me to succeed. They think I'm succeeding. But for some reason, I don't think I'm succeeding. They believe in me. I should believe in myself if they do. And it's something that I feel like a lot of runners, especially people who have run multiple marathons, start to in some way, shape, or form, because we kind of think of it as, oh, this is just like another thing that I do. And their goal, as you pointed out, just get better and better and better. And when that doesn't happen, I beat myself up. I don't know about you, but it's a struggle sometimes.
One of my friends told me years ago, like, no one cares about your time. He said, he was just like brutal. He said, like, no one cares. No one's going to be like looking at results going, oh my God, Fudgie did, wherever. He said he was going to do that. He said, just get over yourself. No one really cares. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, that's a bit harsh, but it's true though, isn't it? The only person that cares is yourself. No one really cares. But I suppose having an Instagram profile, I was putting myself out there saying I was going to do all these times. And then you
Hmm.
don't do it. And it's like, oh, you've got to like slide behind the bush like the Homer Simpson meme. Do you know what I mean? Sliding behind the bush type of thing. And that's when I thought, you know what? It's just too much pressure sometimes to keep hitting, trying to go for a time all the time. Just try and enjoy it. If it happens type of thing. Like I did the New York Marathon last year, but I was never going to go for a time. And I enjoyed every I enjoyed every mile of that marathon. Do you know what I mean? I was determined to like not have a smile on my face in that race because that's like the dream race to me. I love New York. I've been like 10 times. That was my dream race. If I'm not going to go here, I never frown. I did smile every corner of that race and every It was pretty amazing. Just need to get over yourself sometimes in a way and just enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You got to fight the ego, and you just got to essentially get over yourself and just realize what you're doing. As you pointed out, 1% of the world has completed the marathon. And I think because, I mean, at least for me, I see so many people sign up for races now, and I see so many pictures of people running marathons that sometimes I forget that I'm kind of looking at this niche group of people and not like the world. And so I think all these people are running marathons and getting all these times. And in reality, it's only a like small select group of people that I'm seeing. And so checking the ego, I think, is so incredibly important.
100%.
Now, what is something about running that you think people don't talk about enough, but probably should talk about?
I think probably like the social aspect of it. I think I said earlier, I think a lot of people think running is a solo sport, but technically it is, but it's not. I think people should talk about how important running and the social side of running is. It can be a social side as well. Grabbing two or three of your colleagues from work, running with your mate, going to a run crew. I don't think it's talked about enough the social benefits of running, how social running can be. Like I go to this run crew on Tuesday, rep runners, and it's like a family. Do you know what I mean? There's about 50 people turn up every Tuesday, and it's like a family. So I think maybe rather than, people always talking about these times, I think people should be talking about how much running can build friendships, you can meet your girl of your dreams there, run club, or you can meet friends, you know what I mean? I think running can open so many doors, and I think it should be talked about like less time, let's get social. It's such a social aspect as well. I think running, some people think I said is solo, but it can be so much more than that. I find that's my social outlet every week running, being around people. That's my main source of social interaction these days. Not going to the pub as much, but running is my social outlet.
Yeah, running clubs are a game changer when it comes to just finding that accountability.
Yeah.
That's what comes for me when it comes to
Yeah.
running clubs. Is like I'm not unfortunately part of one because there's not really one that's around me. But when I used to run with a friend, and when you have that person who holds you accountable, if you had to get up at a specific time to go meet somebody at an area to go for a run, gives you the extra effort to get out of bed and go and do it. Because if it was just you needing to tell your mind, I got to get up at 6 in the morning, I got to go to this park and I got to go run this amount of miles, it's much easier for you to be like, I'm just going to go back to sleep. Whereas if you have people who are like relying on you and expecting you to be there, then you're like, I can't let these people down. And I agree with you. I think sometimes that social aspect is neglected because people focus on the physical aspects, they focus on the mental aspects, because obviously as you run, you get fitter, your cardiovascular system gets stronger and things like that. And you get those endorphins, you get that mental health clarity in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, if you are part of a run club or find a group of people that like to run, whether it's work or it's an actual like social club, that can really be a game changer when it comes to the your just running journey overall. I was talking to a girl yesterday who was part of a run club with New York Road Runners, and she actually is a coach for them. And she just ran the Tokyo Marathon, and she got to finish the race with somebody that she was a coach with. And so they got to cross the finish line together, and that made it even more emotional. And then on top of that, their coach, the person who was kind of like their boss, I think,
Yeah.
gave them their medals, which like made it even more personal because of just the connection that they had. And so being able to run races around the world with those people can make it just so much more emotional, so much more personal, and mean so much more to you than, just running a race by yourself. Now, you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but at what point did running start to feel like something that was actually yours, when you kind of took away the aspects of what people expected and made it your own thing?
Probably, like I said, I'd run for years before COVID, but I felt in COVID, I felt probably that nailed on. It's like what I liked about running. It's like I thought, like, yes, this is my sport. Because I felt like, as you said before COVID, it was more like a second job, trying to get these PBs. I just felt it was more like, right, we got to run quick. I'd go to a run club and we wouldn't speak to each other. We'd just be trying to beat each other all the time. I think COVID was then I realized when you're running in the middle of nowhere and it's on your own and the clarity it brought you, I thought, this is my sport now. I'm probably going to be doing this for the rest of my life. If I can keep moving, this is my sport. And like, I didn't realize how much it made me feel. The sort of, like I said, the endorphins again, the clarity it brought me, getting outside, the simple things. I thought this sport's amazing. And that's when it sort of clicked for me. It did click a few years earlier, but I just felt like I was racing for 4 years before COVID. Just felt it was on to the next, pardon me, get a PB, try and get the next one. It was just on to the next race. And then after that, when COVID ended, lockdown ended, I was like, right, I'm going to enjoy running now. This is my jam. And I'm just going to run for the views rather for the times. Obviously, I still have some time aspects, but I thought I'm going out for a run to go and see the views, meet people. And I thought, yeah, this is my sport now. Because I couldn't play football anymore because I got 2 pins in my wrist to be a goalkeeper. So I was like, this is my sport. And I felt fucking found the sport I love and sport I can, not good at, but sort of sport I can do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And this kind of actually segues into my next question of when you're in the thick of it with running and your body is telling you to stop. Like we talk about the Barcelona marathon when it was really hot, or you want to talk about another run that you may have been on a race and your body is just like, I feel like I can't do this. I don't know if I can go on. I want to stop. I want to quit. What do you tell yourself in those moments?
It's probably in the long runs for a marathon, you've been there yourself when you're like 16 miles in and you're on your own, it's just no adrenaline. You think, oh my God, I've got another 4 miles left to do a 20-mile run. But I think what I've worked on really hard the last couple of years is like, if you could do hard things, you build resilience. So this is tough. If you can get this done today, imagine the resilience you get from that, of doing hard things. Because I think that builds mental resilience as well, doing hard things. Like getting that done, doing 20 miles, you're buzzing afterwards. At the time, nothing comes easy. Do you know? I mean, if you do hard things, you build that resilience. And when you've done that 20 miles, that's in the bank forever. Because you'll think about that run going, oh, remember that day when it was really warm and I struggled and I stopped 5 times, but I got it done. So I can do it. But for me, it's when I find it tough. It's like, right, let's get this done. Imagine how resilient you're going to feel after doing this. You add more resilience to your bank. And that's why I keep signing up for these marathons, because it's if you build resilience in running, it'll help in your work life, your family life, never else. Now it sounds a bit cheesy, but I think it does. If you could build some kind of resilience, it'll help you mentally. And that's what I'm trying to do the last few years. Do harder things to sort of make you work hard and sort of makes you more resilient.
I completely agree with you. That's one of the reasons why I run is because I've seen how running has not only shaped my physical health and mental health, but it, as you pointed out, it's permeated into everything in my life. I've gained confidence in different portions of different areas of my life that I never thought that I would have because of what I've been able to accomplish with running. I tell myself, if I can go out there and run 26.2 miles, I can get this work deliverable done. Like if I if I can do that, then I can help my wife do XYZ, or I can, raise my daughter and things like that. And yeah, it's changed my life in terms of what I've realized that I've been able to accomplish because the limits what I tell people is the limits that we set for ourselves are kind of demolished once we finish a marathon because we realize that so much of the limitations we've set in ourselves are just in our head. And once we realize that after we are able to accomplish this feat is something that will just open your eyes and change the way you think about yourself forever, which is something that I think is so important. Now, when the motivation isn't there, because this happens to every runner, it's happening to me right now. I have the Boston Marathon next month, and I just don't want to run. We just had a baby 2 months ago. I'm exhausted mentally and physically, but I still have to go out there and do it. How do you handle those stretches of time where the motivation is just like gone?
I know it sounds quite funny, but I'd always try to end my run in like in a bakery or something, or have something to reward yourself after the run. I know it sounds, but I love cakes and pastries. I love them. So I'm like, right, I don't really want to go out today, but I want to go to this new bakery, which is like 10K away. Right, you're going to run to that bakery and you're going to have a nice cake, and then you're going to enjoy afterwards. It's also set in like, it's like being a kid, really. Like, I'll give you sweets if you've been good today. It's type of like those little hacks. So I always try, especially probably the same in New York. There's so many cool places you can go to eat and stuff, especially in London. I'll go and Google, oh, that bakery, right? I'm going to run there today and just get there and whatever time it is, it gets me out the door, or I'm going to run and pick something up. I'm going to buy a new pair of trainers, so I'm going to run and pick something. I always try and include running in my day. Like I'm going to run to the office. I have to run. If I'm halfway there, I've got to finish the run because I've got to get to work. Stuff like that, little hacks I try and use.
That's incredible. It's funny there. I usually run on the same bike path all the time because it's just the safest place for me to run in my area because there's no sidewalks. And there is it's kind of like a deli that is on the corner right outside of it. And a lot of times what I'll do is, and it's usually the last mile that gets me home from there, is I'll stop there. I'll get myself like a soda. I might get myself like a donut or something, and I'll eat that. And I'll be like, cool. I feel refreshed. I got what I needed. Let's go back home now. So having that little reward that you can set for yourself is so important because I remember it was last year for the New York City, or no, 2 years ago, New York City Marathon. I did my last 20-mile run and I ran just like a straight 20 miles from my house south to this other big town that was far away from me. And it was I ran through the middle of nowhere. It was like no cell service. It was like horses and cows and fields. And I was like, if I need to get picked up, I can be picked up.
Yeah.
So I gotta keep going. And by the time I finished, I called my wife and I was like, when you come get me, I need a soda and I need you to get me like some sort of food because I need something
Within
right now.
20.
Yes. You kind of hinted at this because of how running has kind of expanded other things in your life, but what has the sport taught you about yourself outside of running?
I think going back to resilience again, I think it makes you think, how resilient I am. Because sometimes, like you say, you compare people in work and in life, and you think, oh my God, I wish I was, as resilient as them. And you actually look back, which we don't do a lot, and think, geez, I am resilient.
Hmm.
I've done these marathons, I've done these long runs, I've traveled the world with running. You think, geez, I've done quite a lot. Comparison's a thief of joy, isn't it? But I think for me, I think running's built resilience, so you actually are a resilient person. As I said, these days it feels like you have to run a marathon or nothing. But even that 5K is tough, even that mile's tough. I think sometimes we forget that, I mean, you do marathons, you probably think, oh, we just done 10 miles today. But for somebody, that's like their Everest.
Yep.
And
Yep.
for us, is we go out and do it. So I think it's that to think, yeah, how resilient it's made me. And you look back and think, yeah, I've done a lot of tough things. I've achieved a lot. But you look at your medals, then your posters on your wall, and you think, yeah, I've done a lot of things. It
Hmm.
sort of makes you reflect. Sometimes you're all chasing work goals and stuff, but then personal goals like the medals and all the memories, think, yeah, I've done a lot of hard things, a lot of fun things. I think that's where it's taught me anyway, how resilient it's made me.
Absolutely. I mean, I always tell people that your worst pace is someone else's best pace. So even if you have a bad run, that bad run you have is probably someone else's best run that they've done. And even if you got it, like you pointed out, even if you've only gotten out there for a few miles, say you were going to do 10 and you like the other week, it was super hot. I was supposed to do 10 miles. I only got 7 done. I was like, you know what? It's in the bag. I did it. It's 7 miles that I could have not done and just sat on my couch and done nothing.
Exactly.
So I love your idea on resilience because that is probably one of the most important things that running has taught me in my own life because I essentially got started with running because of my mental health and because I thought I was worthless at the time. I couldn't accomplish anything. I thought I was, just kind of like wasting my life away. And once I started to kind of knock these dominoes down of like my first 5K, then my first 10K, okay, and then a half marathon and all the way up to a marathon, I was like, oh, wow, I actually have a lot more capabilities than I ever thought I had. And so I think for the everyday runner who looks at your content, most people, I think a lot of people probably see themselves in your content because of the way that you post it and because it's so authentic and real. What do you hope that these individuals take away from it?
I just hope they take away that they can do anything. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be a certain way to start running. You don't have to have all the fancy gear. You don't have to have the ripped attire. You don't have to be fit. Running's for everybody. And as I said to you earlier, if I can do it, I'm not athletic at all. I play football in school, soccer in school. I was never athletic. If I can go out there and run 5K, 10Ks, anybody can. Do you know what I mean? I remember my first run. I could walk running for a mile. I thought, how the hell am I going to run anything longer than a mile? I just think it's like, look yourself in the mirror, like, I'm just a normal person, normal body. If I can do it, come with me and run. Like, that's what I'm trying to say to the guys in work. Oh, I can't run. If I can, I tell them my story and like, look, I'm not a runner. Look at me. But come on, we can get out there and run together. So I think that's for me, just to inspire people to get out there. You don't have to look a certain way or weigh a certain way. Just get out there and do something that makes you happy. If it's running, tennis, paddle, gym, just go and do it. I think that's the thing for me.
Yes, the amount of people that I didn't even know that I inspired to start running just because I was doing it is crazy. I've had people that have friends that I have that have messaged me and been like, "Hey, either can you give me some advice on running or I just got started running because I see your posts and things like that." And it's so important to show people that running is for everyone and that you don't need to look a certain way. You don't need to be a certain age. You don't need to start when you're in high school and you're on the track team. You can, like, I started when I was 30 and I was
Yeah.
like the most out of shape person you would ever meet. I sat on my couch, played video games, watched TV, ate pizza. Like that was like it. And so being able to explain to people that you can do this, like I'm not, like, people tend to think that marathon runners, like everyday marathon runners, are like born with some gift. And it's like, no, we're not we're not gifted. We're just like, as you pointed out, we're just resilient and we just keep pushing through and eventually we make that breakthrough and we're able to accomplish that goal. But anybody can do that if they just keep working on it, keep pushing on it, which I think is so important about your platform and the things that you really show to other people in an authentic way. Now, if there is someone out there that feels like they're not a runner because they're not fast, they're not consistent, what would you want them to hear?
When you start anything, job, you start at the bottom, don't you? You always get better. You always got to learn. So when you start anything, I always compare to people and say, "Oh, I'm not good at running." But when you started your job, was you really good at your job when you first started? No, it takes 3, 6 months to learn your job role. So you can relate it to that to running. It takes time to get better. It takes time to improve. No one ever it's some rare people who run and you think, geez, I've run 18K, 5K, and you think, geez, most people will get better over time. To start slow. The best advice I always give people is go to park run. I don't know if you have them, if you have them in America, but it's a 5K, walk, run, and just go to that park run. You'll see all shapes and sizes, and you can see young, old. You've got 13-year-old kids, there's 73-year-old people run. Get involved in that, and also get involved in a running community. Just get involved. Just get stuck in. You're not the only one who's starting off. We all started somewhere in anything. In school, when we start in school, you get better as you go for school. When you go to university, you get better as you go for university. You just got to stick with it. You're going to it might suck at the start, but it'll get better if you dedicate time to it.
Absolutely. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I wanted to quit running when I started because I just thought like there's a show called Parks and Rec that I love.
Yeah, good show.
There's a scene where one of the characters, Chris Traeger, is like obsessed with exercise and he tries to get his girlfriend to work out and he's trying to get her running and she goes, I know running is good for you, but at what cost? Because she's just dying when they try. And that's how I felt at the beginning. It was like, why do people do this? Punishing themselves. And it's awful. It's terrible. I want to die. My lungs are on fire. And as I kept going, it was like, I finally get this. I get this so much because it just there was like a moment where it just switched in my head. And I don't think it was really the runner side that people talk about because I spent probably the first like 6 months of my running journey on a treadmill because I didn't want to go outside because it was the winter. But it just felt so much better after doing it for a certain amount of time. And you are right. Anybody can do it. It doesn't matter what your pace is. It doesn't matter what your body type is. It's just the commitment to do it. And I like what you said about it's like a job. It's like anything else that you start, you're going to be at the bottom and it's going to suck. Every single person that I have interviewed on this podcast has said the same exact thing. You're going to hate it at first, which is, I think, is hysterical when it comes to people who love running, because I don't think there's any other thing in the world. I mean, there's probably other sports like this, but there's like, it's very rare for people to say this thing that I love is terrible at the beginning. And I find that funny that like, it's just like a continuous thing that every single runner agrees on. But then also they talk about the fact that they get over that hump and it becomes something that they just fall in love with and it becomes part of their identity. Now, in your own running journey, is there a moment that made you feel proud, even if it wasn't a big milestone?
I think for me it was doing my first 5K really. Like I said, it was a 5K like park run you have in the UK, you have some in America. It was 2 laps from the lake. And looking at it now, I go back to that park run more so because I go back to Wales. I think it's not easy, but I'm used to doing it. I remember doing that. It took me, I can't remember, I think I did 40 minutes for my first 5K when I finished it. And the sense of achievement, it'd be like, oh my God, I've literally run 5K. Oh my God, I'm never been that type of guy who can run. I think I ran in Converse, I think, as well. I had Converse and tracks. Yeah. When I first started running, I wear Converse. God knows I didn't get injured. And I think I remember finishing that. And my best mate, John, he's quite a big athlete. He's always done Ironman and stuff. And I was with him and I was like, yeah, John, see, I could totally I can run. It was a bit of a tick in the box. I'm actually felt like a runner then. I actually done a 5K. Went home to my mother and was like, yeah, I've done a 5K, I've done a park run, and sort of accomplishment. It was probably as my first like long distance I did then, to be honest. And obviously the biggest one was like New York Marathon, just sort of the dream of finishing that race in like one of my favorite cities. To think you travel the other side of the world to run a marathon and finish in Central Park, that's pretty sick. The two aspects, start the journey and the current journey, I guess.
Yes. What did you think of New York? Did you like the
Uh,
marathon?
yeah, well, it was hilly.
God.
what was it? What's that bridge? Queensborough Bridge, is it? You know,
Hmm.
you going up. Yeah. So I stayed in that island before, so I remember going up that bridge, and I remember watching all the videos before. But I just loved it. I no, I'm biased. You know, I live in London. I'm an under marathon, but it was much better in London. The crowd was like times five. I've never seen in my life the passion from American people. You're very passionate people, but it was nuts. Running through Brooklyn, I was like, did I have goosebumps?
Yeah.
My heart rate was going crazy because you just like, oh my God. I can, yeah, tell everybody like about that marathon. It's probably the best thing I've ever. Probably one of the best. That sounds cheesy, but probably one of the best days of my life. Just being in that city, everybody's like pushing you forward in that race. Everybody's cheering and shouting your name. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I remember the first time I did New York. I had done races with the company that managed the New York City Marathon before, and there had been like crowds here and there for like certain races, and it was, but they were like rather small and kind of sparse. And I remember coming over the Arizona Bridge and turning into Brooklyn for the first time, and it was just like a roar. And then, like,
Yeah,
I get goosebumps too thinking about it because it's like I will never forget that moment because it was life changing. I literally was just like, I planned on running with my headphones in, like noise cancellation. I was like, I'm gonna be focused and I'm gonna be like running and there's not gonna be that many people. But
yeah.
as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, I gotta put the transparency on and I gotta start paying attention to these crowds because they were going wild.
It was mad to stand on a start line. I was on the top, so it was quite nice to run over the bridge. And
Mhm.
just running across the bridge, you look over to your left. And last year the weather was so awesome. You can see Manhattan. It's like wow, running the New York City Marathon with so many people want to be in my position right now. That's what I was saying to you earlier. I was just trying to run with a smile on my face and high five people and shout back at people. It was just yeah, it's just crazy. If I could do that again tomorrow, I would. It's such an incredible event. I've got London in a few weeks' time now, so hopefully. But I don't know how anything can compare to New York. But that's my biggest fear now. How can it compare to that?
It's funny. I did London in 2023, and I actually loved the crowds in London. I was actually also really surprised because it had poured the night before, and it had rained in the morning, and it was still kind of raining when I started, but there were still so many people out, and so that like made it feel more personal to
Yeah.
me. So I'm in the process of doing my second 6-star journey, and London is the only one that I have left. So
Okay.
I have to find a way to get back to London, hopefully next year, to be able to do it because I'm obviously getting into the lottery is like finding
Yeah.
a needle in a haystack that is the size of the earth. So I'm hoping that something happens, but we'll figure it out. But I'm trying to think. So I think,
Yeah, I only found out today I've got a London Marathon place. I'm doing it with Vaseline. I only found out today. Yeah, so it's pretty
oh my
much.
God, congratulations.
I've been sort of training for it, but not training for it, but I've been sort of on backup just in case. So yeah, I was sort of not ready, but yeah, I'm just gonna wing it, see what happens.
Wow, well, congrats. That's wild. Like a month before you found out. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I was sort of I've got up to 15 miles. So I'm okay. I don't know. I'm not. If anybody's listening, I don't advise running a marathon for five weeks out. Just don't do that.
That actually happened to me last year. I got into the Boston Marathon from Shocks, and I found out right before I ran the Tokyo Marathon in March. So I had like a month and a half to prepare for it. Luckily, I had already trained for a marathon, but
Yeah.
I was like, and I had to go. Then I had to go and do all the traveling and everything, which was not something that my wallet was expecting.
Expensive sport running it.
I'm like, no, it's not. You just have to buy a pair of shoes, just go out there and run. You don't have to spend any other money on anything else. God, I wish somebody told me that when I first started. And now this next section is these are questions that I ask everybody. The first part is called the hot seat. So these are just quick
Yeah.
rapid fire questions. Give me just top of mind what comes first for you about what you prefer. And so we'll start with the first one, which is trail or road.
A road.
And what is your favorite running shoe brand right
I'm a Nike guy. I've always been a Nike guy. I used to play golf. I used to be a Tiger Woods fan, so I've always been a sort of Nike guy.
now? Nice. What's your shoe of choice?
I love the Vaporflies, but I love the first ever ones. But I still wear the Vaporflies now. I wore on for New York, but I'm a Nike guy. I love the Vaporflies.
Nice, nice. I bought a pair of the new ones recently, and I really like them. Now, are you an early alarm or late run person?
Late run person.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
same.
more of an evening guy.
I cannot wake up in the morning. It's awful for me. I actually ran yesterday at like 1 a.m. So, well, I guess this morning at 1 a.m. Now, I probably know the answer to this, but a long run, do you prefer that to be solo or with others?
With other people, yeah.
Definitely. And What is your favorite post-marathon meal?
Gotta be a burger. It's gotta be a nice greasy burger. Yeah.
What did you get after New York?
New York, I literally went to at Guinness. So if you count Guinness as food, I met this guy and we stayed in an Irish pub for 5 hours drinking Guinness. So that was my food. Yeah.
Wow.
Still have our medals on. We found a cub called McCool's and we were there for about till about half six in our medals and the sort of poncho they gave us.
That is awesome.
Guinness is probably my favorite. That counts as food. It's food drink. So yeah,
That is
Guinness
awesome.
the burger.
I love that. Now, on your easy runs, do you prefer music, podcast, or silence?
Silence, a bit weird. Like I just like to sort of see what's going on.
More power to people who can do that because I can't. I need either a podcast or some sort of music to get me through it because I can't. I don't like being alone with my thoughts. So I can't imagine running like 20 miles with no headphones on. It just blows my mind with people who can do that. Now, what is your dream race?
Dream race. Probably the one thing I left to do, I guess. I want to run Cape Town Marathon, I think.
Okay.
Go to Cape Town. I think New York was my bucket list for years and years. But Cape Town, I want to go to Cape Town. That's sort of on my list as well.
Now, if you could run that race with anybody, who would that be?
Probably Tiger Woods. I was
Yeah?
a big Tiger Woods fan growing up. Yeah, big Tiger Woods fan. Don't think he could run any more of his legs, but yeah, it'd be quite a good chat, wouldn't it? Running with Tiger.
That would be awesome. I love that. So these next two questions are things that I'm actually collecting from everybody that I interview so I can share them with other people. The first is what I call the motivation library. So if you could pick a quote, a mantra, or a line that gets you through those tough miles, what would it be?
Like better than yesterday. If you finish, you're better than yesterday. Always be better than yesterday. Never sound like marginal gains. 1% better every day. Little gains every day. Just 1% better every day. If you want to do extra mile, just do extra mile. Just always be better than yesterday. That's my sort of biggest sort of keeps me going.
That is what I tell myself too. Especially when I have a bad run, is that success is not linear and you're not going to make big leaps and bounds every day. But as long as you do something to get that 1% better, it cascades into like overarching, lasting growth and change.
There's another one I normally use, movement's medicine. That's more for your head. So I always say movement's medicine as well. That's a
Yes,
big one.
absolutely. Now, I want to imagine that you are running Cape Town and
Yeah.
you're running it with Tiger Woods. You guys are at the finish line. You're crossing the finish line. What song is blasting through your headphones?
Gotta be probably Swedish House Mafia and Greyhound.
Nice, nice. I
Yeah,
love
property EDM guy. So yeah, something Swedish House Mafia.
nice. Now, these next two questions are kind of new. I've never asked anybody these questions before, but
Okay.
I want to start asking them. They're kind of legacy questions. Now, if people forget your races and your times, what do you hope that they still remember about you as a runner?
That I ran for the love of running and ran for the love of running basically and run for the love of movement really and how movement helps me really. Just like I was a guy showing you can do it.
Hmm.
You know, I'm just a normal guy just showing people like if I can do it, you can do it. That's my mantra. If you see me doing it, you can go out and do it as well. So yeah, that's all we remembered by.
And if your running journey had one message for the next person that wants to start theirs, what would it be?
Start running. Running would change your life. And no, I know it sounds quite a big statement, but it has changed my life. Probably the same as you. Running would change your life. Start. It's one word. Start.
That is, I mean, it's so simple, but it is so true because I mean, it's the same thing with anything that you want to do is
Yeah.
we feel so much fear and so much judgment before we jump into something. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that has stopped me from doing so much stuff. And
Two.
once I've done it, you start to realize, oh, this was not as scary as I thought it was going to be. And yeah, I cannot express the amount of people that I've said to are like, I would love to do a marathon or a 5K or a half marathon. I say, you can just start, go buy a pair of shoes and start. And then if you have questions, you have a plethora of resources that you can get, whether it's something online or people or what have you. It's all there for you. You just have to take that first step.
100%.
Quite literally.
Start. Yeah, literally.
Well, those are actually all the questions I have for you today, Fudgie. I really appreciate you being on here. I really want to thank you so much for this conversation. What really stands out to me about your story and about your account in general is just how real your approach to running is. It's not something that shows off perfection. It shows things that are not always easy, but it shows consistency in a way that actually matters. And it shows, as we pointed out, the resilience and the perseverance to keep going when things get hard. It's the kind of perspective that really makes people feel like they don't have to have it all figured out in order to belong in this sport. So if you're listening and you don't already follow him, his Instagram name is InstaFudgie. So make sure you go and check him out. His account is fantastic. He's a wonderful person to follow for positivity and for support. It's a reminder all the time that running can definitely be messy, but it can also be funny and frustrating at the same time, but it's still one of the best things that you can do for yourself. So Fudgie, again, I really want to thank you for being on here for today.
No, thanks for having me. Enjoyed our chat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank Fudgie for joining me today on At Your Own Pace. His account has always just kind of blown me away with the amount of positivity and support that he provides to the running community. His honesty, the humor that he comes up with, and the way that he shows up for himself in so many different ways when it comes to his own running journey helps us see what the sport needs more of. We need more positivity. We need more authenticity when it comes to the sport online, and we need to make it feel and look more accessible. And that is a wrap on this episode of At Your Own Pace. If there's one thing I hope that you take with you today, it's this. There's no such thing as too slow, too late, or too far behind. This sport belongs to you exactly as you are, wherever you're starting from, at whatever pace you're running. Every mile counts, and so do you. If this episode moved you, made you think, or made you want to lace up your shoes and go out there and hit the road or the trail, just do me a favor, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Like or follow the podcast, leave a review. It helps out a lot. And then come find me, Mike Runs Marathons, over on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and even YouTube. And I do have a Facebook page now. I would love to hear your story. But until next time, I want you to take care of yourself, be kind to the person running next to you, and keep showing up at your own pace. I'll see you on the road.